You're crouched by a fire in a cave in the Altai Mountains. It's 40,000 years ago, and the only light for 100 miles is the one in front of you. There's no headlamp. There's no weather app. There's no group chat to text if you don't make it back tonight. And somewhere in that firelight, one of your ancestors looked up and saw a stranger crossing into camp. Taller in the brow, not quite what they were, and made a decision that ended up written into you. This is the story of an extinct human species that isn't extinct at all, because pieces of it are sitting in your cells right now. Not a legend, not a conspiracy. A real skull, hidden in a well for 85 years, that took until this decade to explain what's inside you. In 2008, archaeologists at Denisova cave, in the Altai Mountains of Siberia, pulled one tiny pinky bone out of the dirt. Not a skull, not even a full finger, just one knuckle. In 2010, a team led by geneticists von Pabo at the Max Planck Institute sequenced a full genome from it. And it matched nothing on record. Not modern humans, not Neanderthals. A third human species, later named Denisovan, had just been found from a single knuckle small enough to lose in a pocket. Here's the question worth sitting with. How much of that species is still around? In 2018, researchers found a girl at that same cave, dead around 90,000 years, whose mother was Neanderthal and whose father was Denisovan. A first-generation hybrid, half of one extinct species and half of another in a single skeleton. Researchers nicknamed her Denny. That doesn't happen once by accident. It happens because interbreeding between these groups was constant in far more places than one Siberian cave. If your ancestry traces to East Asia, you're carrying around 0.2% Denisovan DNA. If it traces to Melanesia, that number jumps to 4 to 6%. Not a rounding error, thousands of genetic letters. Still doing jobs in living bodies today. Tibetans carry a Denisovan inherited gene called EPS1, identified in 2014 by geneticist Emilia Huerta Sanchez. That controls how the body handles extremely low oxygen at high altitude, deciding how aggressively it produces extra red blood cells before that blood turns dangerously thick. It's the specific, measurable reason an entire modern population can live comfortably at 14,000 feet. An extinct species is still, quietly, keeping people alive. Now here's the twist nobody saw coming. In 1933, a laborer in Harbin, China pulled a massive, near-perfect human skull out of the ground, then hid it down a well to keep it from occupying forces during the war. It sat there for 85 years. His family only recovered it in 2018. In 2021, a team led by Chang Ji named it a brand new species, Homo longi, dragon man. It made headlines everywhere. It made a lot of paleoanthropologists uncomfortable too, because naming a species off skull shape alone, without DNA, is exactly the kind of claim the field has been burned by before. And it was wrong. Standard DNA extraction from the tooth and skull came back empty, twice. So in 2025, paleogeneticist Xiaomei Fu pulled ancient DNA out of the plaque stuck to the skull's one remaining tooth instead. And 27 gene variants matched, exactly, variants found only in the 7 confirmed Denisovan individuals ever discovered. His mother never brushed his teeth, and that's the detail that finally solved the case. The skull in the well and the pinky bone in the cave were the same species all along. Just 85 years and one accidental hiding place apart. And here's the uncomfortable part. Denisovans are still extinct, gone entirely around 40,000 years ago. Not long after modern humans arrived in large numbers across the same territory they'd occupied for hundreds of thousands of years. We don't know if that overlap was violent or disease or slow absorption through generations of interbreeding, or some combination of all three in different places? The honest answer is we don't fully know. What we do know is the species didn't vanish without a trace. It got absorbed, distributed now across billions of living people who mostly have no idea they're carrying it. Folded in so completely that we mistook its own skull for something else entirely for 85 years. There's a smaller, stranger irony underneath that. If a spit-in-a-tube DNA test can now tell a stranger how much Denisovan ancestry you're carrying, that same company has your entire genetic blueprint sitting on a server somewhere, indefinitely. Governed by a privacy policy almost nobody actually reads before clicking accept. It's not a reason to panic. It's a reason to actually read what you're agreeing to before mailing off a piece of yourself. So back to that fire in the Altai Mountains 40,000 years ago. Whatever happened next between that stranger and the people at the fire, it happened often enough, in enough places, to leave a permanent mark. Next time you see a strange skull pulled out of a well, remember it isn't a story about them. It's a story about you, breathing a little easier at altitude than you have any right to. Because somebody's ancestor decided a stranger wasn't a threat after all.